Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all doing fairly well. We've got a lot going on in the world since my last upload. A brief recap. Tensions escalating from China and India to domestic issues at home are not improving in the U.S. The energy crisis continuing across the EU. Turkey gaining power as a global gas hub. And China, in case you didn't see, signed a new 27-year gas deal with Qatar. And of course, we can't forget about Iran executing more anti-regime protesters during their civil rights movement going on right now. And of course, we're going to be covering Russia-Ukraine 10 months into the war as we head into the week before Christmas, and the title, U.S. soldiers being sent to fight in the Russia-Ukraine war and who's sending mail bombs. We've got Wagner Group finally accusing a country for sending a mail bomb to one of their officials in Africa. Now, how close are we to something awful? Tucker Carlson explains that the U.S. Patriot Missiles sent to Ukraine will require U.S. troops to run them, and this is going to be the most recent news, scaling down to stuff from last week. On Wednesday, the Biden gang announced they would provide Patriot Missiles to Ukraine. They forgot to mention, guess what? They require U.S. troops to manage them. If I recall the video, there's about 1,500 things, no joke, 1,000 plus procedures you need to successfully operate these vehicle and launcher systems. So apparently we're going to have actual boots on the ground, U.S. troops going to manage them. So I don't know if they're just going to put them as close to Poland as possible, but the problem is Russia said they are 100% going to attack them. And what's going to happen when we send these systems operated by either U.S. contractors or even soldiers, and they get blown up, and then we officially have boots on the ground and casualties? That's not going to be received very well by anyone, especially not any U.S. citizens, their families, etc. Russia warned this is an escalation by the Biden administration and will result in unpredictable consequences. Tucker also conveyed that these missiles require Americans to operate them. And Russia launches major missile attack on Ukraine, firing 60 missiles in the biggest attack since the Russian invasion on 4 major cities, and at least 2 reports killed. Missiles target infrastructure as well as residential areas. So, of course, they are in almost a complete blackout. They don't have any power for this winter, and conditions from water, sewage, food, etc. are all not operating. U.S. to begin training hundreds of Ukrainian troops every month. Of course, we knew this, and I've reported on it before, but starting in January, 500 Ukrainian troops a month will travel to Germany to train with the U.S. Army, the Pentagon announced. So, of course, we're officially training soldiers, and we want to get that number to 1,500 plus a month, and I know the UK is ramping up their training as well. Now, Russian official injured in assassination attempt in Central African Republic. Here's an interesting one. The head of a Russian cultural center in the Central African Republic, the CAR, has been wounded in an assassination attempt in the capital, the Russian embassy said. This morning, an assassination attempt was made against the general director of the Russian House, Mr. City. He is in the hospital, Vladislav said, who is the official attaché of the Russian embassy, who told Sputnik on Friday the head of the Russian House had opened a parcel bomb addressed to him from an anonymous sender on Friday morning. So, of course, not good for tensions, as France has been accused by the Wagner Group. Okay, this is from the Jerusalem Post. France attempted to assassinate Russian in Africa, Wagner Group head claims. Leaders from a Russian mercenary group are pointing fingers at France for a recent attack in an African nation. Of course, the head of the Russian House was in the hospital. His condition was serious but stable. Of course, opening a mail bomb. So keep an eye out as tit for tat. We'll see what the revenge strategy is going to be. If it really was the French, that would be incalculable. I don't know how the Russians would respond. Poland demands answers after gift police chief received from Ukraine official exploded. That's another interesting one. Not just a mail bomb to the Russians, but the Ukrainians apparently sent a trophy, I would assume, that was loaded. So this Polish official ended up receiving some gifts, one of which, again, exploded. So, of course, they're investigating that. And here out of Visegrad, Belarus is probably preparing to participate in the war against Ukraine. The general staff of the Ukrainian army says And so you can watch the 45-second announcement there on Twitter. And of course, Ukraine needs the support of European Union for the purchase of 2 billion cubic meters of gas and electricity worth 800,000 euros to compensate for the damage inflicted by Russian airstrikes in the Ukrainian energy grid. Again, they are pretty much guaranteed to either have zero power or rolling blackouts at best. And not to make a joke out of it, but one funny one from the EU, they said to help Ukraine, we're sending them, I think it was 20 million LED light bulbs, which is just laughable. I mean, if you don't have any electricity, then trying to reduce power consumption by swapping from incandescents to LEDs is obviously inconsequential. I mean, they're not going to work. There's no power to run either light bulb, so it was just a silly gesture. U.S. to double number of Ukrainian troops being trained. Program will see U.S. Army training increasing numbers of Ukrainian soldiers at high-level battle tactics at base in Germany. So just another one to back that one up. This one said 600 to 800 soldiers a month instead of the 500, which is why I included it. And Russia warns of unpredictable spiral if U.S. sends Patriot missiles to Ukraine. Says the conflict could enter an unpredictable spiral if the U.S. follows through with supplying Patriot anti-air systems. And of course, Biden still said to be finalizing those plans to send what could mark the longest range missiles to date for Ukraine's forces. And yet another provocative step by the administration which can lead to unpredictable consequences, the Russian embassy statement said. So oh, it's not looking good. Spend less on Christmas, send excess to Ukraine. So apparently the Catholic Church is now officially getting involved with pushing more donations towards the Ukrainian side, as if the FTX debacle makes me want to send any money through the church. U.S. plans to send Ukraine smart bomb kits, and again, another escalation. U.S. President Biden administration is considering providing Ukraine with advanced electronic equipment that turns unguided aerial munitions into smart bombs. Quote, capable of hitting Russian military positions with a high degree of accuracy, the Joint Direct Attack Munitions, or JDAM, according to the Washington Post. So again, more equipment. U.S. has provided more than $19 billion in aid to Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale Russian invasion, and it's closer to 60-something, I believe. And Russian commanders suggest nukes as the only option to win the war. Again, that was from about a week ago. From the 13th, so 5 days ago. Russian commanders suggested nukes are the only option to win the war. Again, more very dangerous rhetoric, more escalations, and eventually, I have the bad feeling they're going to actually have to do something. You can only cry wolf and make the nuclear threat so many times before what's happened right now. Nobody takes you seriously, and people are, I don't want to say laughing, but nobody thinks they have the cojones to actually do it. So that's why we're now just sending more equipment to make both smart bombs, and we're sending the Patriot missile system with apparently troops on the ground, U.S. related, to run them. So we can only push so far until the pendulum swings back, and I fear we are getting dangerously close. So stay safe out there. I will return to a regular upload schedule in January, somewhere around the first week. So stick around, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.